Okay, well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We have Mandeep Kumar from Deep Cognition today, and he will talk about how AI will continue to empower our world. Right now, we'll have Ram just give a short glimpse of what TiE Dallas is, and then we'll hand it off to Mandeep.
Thank you, Sanjukta. I know it's a smaller audience today, as I was saying earlier. I called a few people, and it looks like there's a number of things going on today. I will share with you just a few brief highlights on TiE Dallas, and then hand it over to Mandeep to have him talk about his company and where they are at, and what his plans are going forward. So once again, this is Ram Viswanathan. I'm the president of TiE Dallas. As most of you know, we are an organization devoted to the promotion of entrepreneurship in all its shapes and sizes. We have a number of different programs that caters to different demographics, high schoolers, university students, women, and then we have an angel program that mentors, coaches, nurtures, funds, and helps grow startups. So if you can just go to the next slide, Sanjukta, we have a highlight of various things, various programs that I just talked about. Our objective basically is to use this forum and TiE Tuesdays to curate projects and startups, and then a smaller group of us will work with the entrepreneur, work with the company to see where we may be able to take that dialogue to wherever it results in terms of collaboration or partnership, in terms of working with that particular company, or just having a dialogue to come back to later and see what the interest might be among the members here. So I already mentioned these programs. We have TiE, the Young Entrepreneurs, TiE University, TiE Women, TiE Angels, and as the names indicate, they're directed towards specific groups of folks. Young Entrepreneurs directed to high schoolers, which is we're going to wrap up our 9th year in a couple of weeks. May 23rd is the final local Dallas pitch, where about 5-6 teams are expected to compete for the Dallas championship, and then the winner from here will represent Dallas at a global event later in June. The TiE University, which we just recently concluded the Dallas version of, led by Satyajit, the doctor who's on the call, is now getting ready to be represented at global, along with a number of other chapters. The TiE Women program, in the same manner, is getting we are getting ready to launch the 2021 season. Very similar format where we have women startups that will compete for their place in terms of how they want to take this idea to a global platform, a global stage. Last year, our winner from Dallas, Tina Mani, represented us in Dubai, and this year I'm not sure where it's going to be held. But finally, last but not the least, the TiE Angel program. We've had about 3-4 deals happen last year. We expect to grow that further this year in terms of both scale and size. We're working with Austin and Houston chapters to expand our deal flow, expand our participation in terms of size in each of the deals. So we are really excited about all these different programs. So without belaboring all this more, I'll switch to our topic of the day, which is Deep Cognition. Very interesting little startup led by Mandeep, and he and I talked last week, and some very interesting use cases is got, and I'm really bullish on where this might be headed in terms of its value proposition for the industries that he's targeting. So I will hand this over to Mandeep at this point and um, address any questions after his speech is over. Give it about 20, 25 minutes, something like that, Mandeep.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
very
I
much,
would
Mandeep.
like to, sorry, I would like to add, and if you guys have any questions in between, go ahead and just put it in the chat and we'll answer at the end of it.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you for the introduction. It's my honor to present here today. So I'm Mandeep Kumar. I'm CEO and co-founder of Cognition. I, along with my co-founder, started Cognition in 2017 when we realized that this is new technology called deep learning AI was emerging at that point, very early stages. But I realized it has potential to change a lot of potential to change a lot of industries and kind of transform them into more efficient, more efficient businesses. So, but the problem that we actually identified is in a lot of businesses there were not enough AI engineers, and also learning of coding deep learning programs or deep learning AI was not very straightforward. So we created a platform that simplifies how developers and even non-developers can create deep learning AI and solve problems in their respective industries. So this platform currently is being used by 27,000 deep learning developers, and the main value proposition is it's a very low code platform. A little bit about the company. We have seen 4x growth from 2018 to 2020. Although revenue was very low, but these were the time when we were building our software and doing more engineering work. So we have already have $103,000 year to date. Plus, we just received $250,000 PO from IRS, which has been our customer for last, I would say, last 3 years. So they licensed Deep Learning Studio from us, as well as also we developed some AI modules for the problems. We have partnership with NVIDIA, and we have customers like ARM, IRS. Recently, our sales pipeline has been expanding. We have been signing partnership deals with uh, other companies which service third-party logistic companies with regard to building automation for data entry. Just to tell you where we kind of where we play. So Deep Cognition focuses purely on deep learning AI, which is the latest type of AI, and the deep learning AI is kind of what is responsible for latest advances in, for example, speech recognition, as well as self-driving cars. And it started in 2012 from Toronto, University of Toronto. Some progress, and then eventually it caught up with the Silicon Valley and other companies. So at this point, there are many applications which are already deployed in the businesses and generating a lot of value. And it's estimated to be having $36 billion AI software market. So here is our deep learning platform. So we have two components in it. One is Deep Learning Studio, the component that actually is used by the developers to design deep learning models and train them without coding. Obviously, they can also switch to coding if required. Uh, so we have that flexibility, but you can always basically train the whole model without doing any coding. And once the models are generated, these models could be deployed in deep learning doc, and then these becomes kind of API Deep learning doc converts these models into API servers. So effectively, a business application can call into these modules through API and then get the results back and do things. So, so this is the whole concept of this is the concept of a deep learning platform. But then also with what we realize is that there are a lot of organizations which are actually looking for certain specific tasks to be done instead of building the solution themselves. And one of such tasks that or the problem that we identified is data entry. And data entry was across many different functions of the businesses and across many different industries. Uh, for example, there is within third-party logistics market, there is a lot of data entry that happens when goods are imported into the country. What happens is you have a commercial invoice which describes the goods and packing list which describes the goods in terms of weight and quantity, and commercial invoices provides information about how much these goods are, what these goods are, and how much they cost. And you have to extract the information from both of these documents and fill up a customs entry form. So this process, as of today, in most third-party logistics and logistics, broker companies, is manual, and they have to enter at a line item level. And this is like a huge cost from a operational standpoint. By using automation of paper entry AI modules, these back office work could be reduced to 10% of, in terms of the cost saving, like they can save 90% of the cost of current operation, what they have right now. So we purely, because our team is small right now and we are in the early stages, we purely focused on marketing paper entry for logistics as of now. But we are also getting requests from companies who are in the accounts payable market, where accounts payable departments have to pay vendor invoices, the one they receive through PDF. And so we are having partnerships right now going in the accounts payable. So these are the two areas we are focused on. So eventually we could basically expand into the adjacent markets as we see success. So this is kind of just shows you like the four main components of our solution. So we also have brand verified AI that we developed uh, based on the need that AT&T gave us, described us last year, and we actually won this contract, but because of COVID, this got delayed. But we have this brand verified technology where a marketing document can be automatically checked for brand guidelines. For example, whether they're using right colors, right fonts, whether all the images used within the marketing document is actually licensed by the company. So this could reduce amount of time that brand manager have to review the documents. But at this point, uh, we are to conserve our and focus our energy into one industry. We are mainly focused on paper entry for third-party logistics. While while that is growing, I think if we get opportunity, we will basically also expand on brand verify as well. This is just shows some kind of time, shows the timeline and how our customers evolve. So so Deep Learning Studio is currently licensed. I mean, a lot of universities within Texas are using it. We have deployment Baylor University, UT Austin, UTD. We also, like I earlier said, IRS has enterprise licenses for Deep Learning Studio. They're working, and we recently added uh, uh, our partners who are actually third party, who are actually IT service providers for logistic companies. So our strategy is to kind of, instead of going directly to the end third-party logistic companies for our paper entry product, we are basically partnering with these IT service providers, which manage the IT systems of third-party logistic companies, and we have seen great success so far. So about paper entry AI module, the main value proposition is it reduces amount of data entry, manual data entry that they have to do. So what that means is if you have like a 10 people doing data entry, you could just manage it. One person could be as efficient as 10 people. So effectively, you could have a team of just a one person doing the job of 10 people. So that obviously makes the whole operations very accurate. So as this is like this is kind of hard ROI. So for many businesses, it's very easy to kind of make this decision to go for this because it actually helps them immediately reduce the cost. Just to see, just to show you, just purely, just if you just look at the invoices only, so there are actually 2.1 billion invoices being processed manually around the world. And so shipping, so their total invoices within the shipping industry is about 3 billion, and then 0.9 billions are actually uh, automated through electronic methods like EDI and other things, but 2.1 billions are still being processed manually. Typically, per invoice, it takes 2 to 15 minutes for manual data entry. With automation, the cost can go as low as 30 cents and even lower compared to a manual data entry, which is definitely way more than that. And it depends on whether the operation has been outsourced into another country, or the local people are being, or the local workforce is being used for data entry. So our differentiator in this market is we are able to deal with very complex documents, for example, packing list uh, and commercial invoices. They are way more complex than typical AP invoices, and that has given us upper edge at this point. And we have signed up many large customers or many partners, and unfortunately, the sales cycle is about 4 to 6 months. And I'll show you our sales pipeline. But we are seeing great success there, and all the partners are moving towards on the closing of the customers that they have. They are showing our technology. This is just a little bit about how the technology works. I won't go in detail, but it is using both NLP and image processing, and looking at the invoice from a computer vision as well as from a language perspective, and combining those two knowledge, it's able to kind of make sense where the information resides. These are the prices for our product. So for deep learning platform, which includes Deep Learning Studio and Deep Learning Doc, we have a B2B version, enterprise version, which is 12,000 a year. We have academia version, which is $1,000 for universities on a single seat, and we have individual version that has less privacy and less features for $90 a year. We at this point are having about 60 paid customers for our individual plan, and we have 3 customers for B2B plan. So B2B/enterprise plan. But where we are really excited right now is the paper entry AI module. We majority of the sales that we do is a metered plan, so it's a flat 15 cents per page, and for unlimited plan in certain scenarios, for example, IRS has requested us they want an unlimited usage plan, so that we sell per server for $290,000. They have accepted our quote. So I expect sometime in next few months that we will get a purchase order for paper entry license as well from IRS. So this is our pipeline along with the monthly recurring revenue. At this point, we have already closed our first customer, which is Supercargo. At Supercargo for paper entry, it's in production right now. So Utilize is a Greece-based company, and they have and they he has been that partner has been very active. So we have uh, two or three other customers that we hope to close, that we I think expect to close this month from Utilize. And there is a very large IT service provider for logistics out of India called Software Logic, and they work with some large companies like uh, and other logistic companies in Europe and US. So we have right now negotiating contract. We have already built prototypes and they have already shown it to their customers. So at this point, once the contract is signed, I expect within, and they have also integrated it with their own systems and CargoWise systems. A lot of time, once the output comes, it need to actually go into a TMS system. Typically, we let it be done by the IT service providers themselves, because they generally have more knowledge about the domain specific, while we kind of focus on the AI. We have been also been contacted with FedEx. We have one meeting. They are interested, and GLS International is another large company out of Europe. So we are seeing a lot of interest, and there are people who are actually getting contacted by them, and they are looking for this type of solution. This is just a growth of MRR, projected growth. As you see, like our it's not that much right now, but as because our sales cycle is so long, so as we go towards July and August, I think we expect to have significant MRR. So like I've kind of described your platform, and a solution that built on the platform. So our long-term goal is to basically have build more solutions, while also have our platform more mature. As of today, we are competing with some other way of building AI, right? So a graphical way of building AI, direct competition we have from Sony and NC and IBM Neural Designer, and this is the comparison that is a summarization of a comparison that is done by an independent website, data science website, and they have a very clever software along with other softwares. And in terms of ease of use, we came out on top. These are some case studies, the concrete case studies, and one of the exciting thing is IRS has recently built a model and has deployed it in production with Deep Learning Studio. So we help their agents to kind of teach them how the model, how to design the models with Deep Learning Studio, and how to validate it. And I'm pretty excited that they were able to go in production with the model built using Deep Learning Studio. And the model is actually pretty simple. So we work with IRS Criminal Investigation Department, and the civil side of the IRS send them cases to be treated as criminal. So one of the things they need to do is, to every case they get, Criminal Investigation Department has to review and see whether they want to accept it or reject it. So they have built an AI that helps them to kind of automate that process and save time. The second use case within IRS is related to paper entry, which is once they have the Safina going on for particular business or individual, they get all the bank statements in a PDF format, and their agents spend a lot of time, I mean, humongous amount of time to kind of get those transactions into a structured format in Excel file or CSV file, and then analyze these transactions. So, using paper entry, they can automate that whole process of getting those transactions in a structured format. And our estimate is currently they are spending 5,000 minutes per case in manual data entry. So here again, we have the case studies with the supercargo, which is in production. They get about 40,000 invoices a year, and so they get 40,000 invoices a year, and then these invoices need to be entered, and they have relatively complex invoices, and those type of documents. I don't think there is any other competitive solution that can handle that. That's why we were successful with them. With SoftPride Logic, we are currently engaged with multiple of their partners. We have built multiple prototypes, so I'm very hopeful that in pretty soon we will be able to close on some of the customers. This is a feedback from, like I said, so the Deep Learning Studio is really popular among universities, researchers, and entrepreneurs who are learning about deep learning, and developers who are kind of getting, they want it to be, they want to be more efficient, with the way they design the deep learning models and the way they train the deep learning models. So we have really good, reviews from them, and many of these our users are also publicly, post articles, and so we don't spend any marketing money on Deep Learning Studio side. It's just the word of mouth within the developers that we are constantly growing. Even as of now, we still add about 300 users per week, by just word of mouth on developers. We have looked at the emails who have signed up. So we have seen users on Deep Learning Studio. By looking at their email, we can identify their universities or organizations. So this is just a small subset of organizations whose users are using Deep Learning Studio. This is our team. So obviously, I'm CEO and co-founder. Kate is a VP of marketing. Vishal is VP of operations. Here's our advisor list. So Kurt is present here. Kurt and Satyajit, Doctor, and then we also have John and Mahesh, and Shiv as our strategic advisor. At this point, we have previously closed 525K in angel funding. We have still 275K left. I would still like to close that, and this is using convertible notes. And our aim is to kind of have enough money to kind of support existing engagements that we have, and then go for a seed round of 1.5 million or 2 million. Once we build up, MRR close to 5K or 6K. Yeah, that's all from me. So if you have any question, please let me know.
Thank you, Mandeep, for that quick and comprehensive overview of the platform and where you are in the journey. You and I have had a quick discussion before, so I'll have the audience ask any question they might have.
Yeah, Ram and Mandeep, this is Sai. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So sounds like a very powerful platform or a technology, Mandeep. So thank you for sharing. I clearly see that you try to sort of a package the whole thing in 20 minutes. So I think a lot of the details probably, at least I could not quite understand. But the use cases that you mentioned, whether it is in the logistics, whether it is in other areas, seems extremely powerful. So what would be helpful is that maybe if we could take a few more minutes as to how exactly that whole thing, a quick case study works. And if I were to be a logistics provider with, incoming invoices and outgoing invoices and the product along with it, how the deep learning actually helps. What I understood is that the analog part of it, if it's a paper invoice and all that, your API can read it and make it into a structured data. But after that, I'm trying to see where is the learning part and how the whole thing, the system develops into a platform that I can use and help me in reducing the overhead and increasing the efficiency. So I understand you avoided the details because of the time, but maybe if you could dive into that a little more.
Yeah, definitely. I have actually the software open on my PC here. So maybe I can just show you. That might give you better.
Yeah, sure. If that's okay with everybody, we just set the expectation of 20-25 minutes and then leave 10-15 minutes for Q&A. But I think this is something of interest to everybody. If I may speak for the audience, I think we can do a quick walkthrough. I saw another question came in the chat. So
Okay,
I think
sure.
this might definitely help.
Yeah, so here you can see a 2-page document. It's a commercial invoice that that our software is processing. The way the software works is through the computer vision, and we have there is a green color overlay here. This is how the AI is seeing it. So AI actually sees first. So there are multiple levels of AIs involved in here. So first level AI is purely looking at key and value pairs here, right? You would see all these key value pairs extracted out. It still at this point doesn't know invoice NR is the invoice number from a structured fashion perspective. So then these key value pairs get classified into a structured information. For example, here you have an invoice number now instead of invoice NR, and you have other information. I think this is something some of the Google's AI can also do. Where we really kind of shine our software is when it comes down to complex line items. For example, here you see 3 tables describing line items in this, and if I go over here, so here the first level AI for the tables is actually just exactly extracting the table the way it is right now, right? Whatever the headers are and whatever the values are, it just gets that as it is, right, without anything. But this is still not structured enough to be able to enter in TMS software because U price dollar doesn't mean anything, right? And these tables are then taken by another AI that transforms these tables into a structured information. As you can see here, all the line items from those 3 tables are here. You get a rate and quantity, line total, PO number. We have ability to extract information even from the descriptions. In this example, that's not the case, but we can even extract information even if it's not is embedded inside the description. For example, HS codes. So once that happens, right? Now this is what I'm showing you is the UI, right? Typically, our customers don't use UI. So what they use is the API. And we have a very simple API. You queue the document, right? And just basically send a document, PDF document with the API. And then you can query the queue. And this is the same thing that happens that is shown over here. Whenever you queue, it will show up over here. Although they never need to actually interact with this UI in a production environment. but for debugging, we could see as API is adding new documents, they show up over here. And then they can extract results, fetch the results in a JSON format, uh, by calling fetch results along with the task ID. So every time you queue a document, a new task ID is generated, so you could kind of get that back. In addition to processing the document, when we go to production, because AI might not be perfect all the time, right? So what we do is we have also developed another validation software. I think that a validation, I don't have that installed on this machine, but what that validation software does is allow you to validate the AI's information, and AI can give a hint where it doubts the information is incorrect. So the way it knows the information is incorrect in two ways. One, we get probability of predictions of all these information that we are extracting. So when there is a low probability of confidence from the AI, so we can highlight those fields. Second, we also build rules. For example, amount should always be a number, right? So, and input terms cannot be a number. It has to be certain type of thing. And also line total should match to the grand total, things of those nature. So by validating those rules as a post-processing of the AI output, AI can also know if it is kind of lacking, this certain information is not correct, and it can indicate that to the human validator to kind of intervene and fix those. So what we have noticed that typically it used to take our the customer that is in production right now about 15 to 20 minutes to enter their information, and those they had a lot of line items. In fact, now with our AI, it has already reduced to I think 1.5 minutes, and it's even going down because as they are finding any mistakes, those invoices we can relabel and put in the training set and train the AI. So next time that type of document comes, it won't actually make similar mistakes. So I hope. So then it keep improving. Basically, that's the point, is to kind of take that 1.5 minute per invoice to all the way to 30 cents and 30 seconds and even lower.
Right.
So I think that was a quick little demo that addressed another question from the audience also. I think Alok, you wanted to do a demo. Yeah. What was that? Somebody had another question. Rajiv, was it?
Yes. I have a couple of questions. So first, the question I'd asked was, how do you compare the accuracy with manual entry? And the second question, and I apologize for this, is you were talking about your MRR, and I'm still driving actually. Could you just kindly repeat the MRR, please?
So our current MRR is $3,000.
Okay.
And I think as we close more, I expect it to rise more.
Okay. And could you comment on the accuracy, please?
Like I said, our current accuracy without a validator, we are seeing about at this point 97-98% accuracy. And as like I said, once it is deployed, as AI is making mistakes, those mistakes are then we take those invoices on which is making mistake and put it back. So so what happens is you start off with 97-98% accuracy in the first month. Next month it goes higher. It goes to like 99, and I expect within 4 months or so, it might be so high that pretty much a validator is just basically there for purely just for exceptional cases, like maybe 1 or 2% of those invoices. So we are also building a system, a scoring system, which will allow completely. So AI is so confident in certain, let's say 95% of invoices, they won't even need the validation. They can directly be entered into the system. While 5% of the invoices where AI has any, low confidence or some of the validation rules failed, only those invoices will be shown to validator for fixing. So at the end of the day, you get 100% accuracy, right? Because the validator is there to kind of fix the problems. But pure AI accuracy, I believe we can reach about 99% or so.
And in regarding your customer, have you had any customer churn where customer says, okay, well, Mandeep, great, come back when this is 99.99, or have you had customers drop off?
No, I think the way we explain is, it's not like you have 10 people or 20 people, it's going to be 0 people in your data entry. What we say that, okay, it's not about absolutely 0 thing. You have, if your customer has 10 to 20, it will be like, one person you still need to have. So you cannot eliminate, human completely from the loop. And I don't think they all understand this technology. It has limitations. But the thing is that it has enough business value. We haven't seen anybody rejecting it. In fact, a lot of the people that we are working right now, many of them are SAP partners, and they have been working with Amazon Text Extract, which is a similar type of service, but it's not retrainable, it's not very accurate, and they are all switching to our software. So we haven't seen any churn right now. All this very early days for us.
Okay, very good, thanks.
Other questions?
Well, this is Kurt. I don't have a question, but just a comment that was related to the last person's question. I think we're looking at the use case of the shipping invoices, and the MRR is, I think Mandeep was speaking just to that. But if you take a look at, for example, the IRS, it's a similar technology, a different use case, because as I understand it, Mandeep, the IRS can't offshore data entry when it comes to tax records, data entry, and things like that, because it's such sensitive data. So they have a big data entry, problem that they can't really solve, maybe in some traditional manual ways. And so they've been a repeat customer for the last 3 years. So I know that's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there is kind of a subscription or repeat business for some of the other use cases. But they're all similar in that, whether it's bank statements or these invoices, one thing that I've seen the real power of it as a kind of investor is that it can handle any different kind of, because you often don't know what the format of your invoice, your bank statements will be when it comes, and the AI can do these key data pairs and figure that out on the fly, and not have to have the same template and all these things. It can kind of handle any type of form, which I've found, impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
Ram, our partners from Houston, any questions, comments from a business trajectory standpoint? Ram, are you there? Maybe you stepped away.
So one quick the input itself is that for example, the one you're showing, right, commercial invoice, is that done via a picture or is it done via a scanner?
This is done by the scanner, but we have also worked with receipts, which were pictures, and our technology works on pictures as well. Although most of the logistics people, they have either clean PDFs or they have scanned PDFs. So we can work with pictures as well. It's not a problem, but we haven't seen logistic companies doing pictures too much so far.
Okay.
So I have a question related to the pricing, Mandeep.
Yeah.
I noticed you have unlimited pricing. I'm just curious as to how you manage the scope, because you're talking about some tremendous amount of volume when you're dealing with um, tax notices and all that. So how are you going to be able to manage
So
that in an effective way? Because you're capping it, and it can. I was wondering, it can run out of hand pretty quickly.
right. So I think what we have discussed with IRS, they are the one who are insisting on unlimited thing.
Mhm.
Uh, this is $290,000 will be per server, and they need one server at each of their offices.
Okay.
So IRS, criminal, or not necessarily in every single office, but they are not connecting this server to their network. So which means that another site, if there is agent, we can't
Okay.
use it on this side because the agent physically copy these bank statement on a USB drive and plug it in,
Okay.
run the AI, and later on collect its results and go back. So for security reasons, they are not connecting, which is good for me because then they have about 65, 70 officers, criminal investigation department alone.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that even if they buy for 3 or 4 officers uh, or the branches, I think that is very big customer for us, and they have accepted our quote, and they have already evaluated our technology. So that itself, like I said, now they can do unlimited document, but there is some amount of time. It takes about
Right.
15 to 25 seconds per page.
Sure.
So it kind of limits you at some level.
So I think that kind of answers my question. You are able to put some kind of boundaries in some way to the number of locations. So that's how you size it, size and scope the problem. And depending on the volume of data, they will be they will be experiencing different kinds of response times, and that's probably embedded in your contract. So
Right.
that's how you manage it. Okay, I think I'm getting a feel of it. Um, Other questions, comments, thoughts?
Uh, this is Alok. I just wanted,
Alok, you cut out.
and at the
You cut
same
out
time, you
there.
talked about. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I just wanted to understand the projections for future that you sales projections you had it.
Right.
If you can go over it, and you talked about $4,000 burn rate. So
Yeah.
also wanted to understand how. I mean, are these customers high touch customers for you? Or are you spending money in developing the software further, or what the burn rate comprise distribution looks like?
So our expenditure rate is about $35,000 right now, and I think because we have, like I said, IRS, we had a PO with IRS about, uh, I think it was $200,000 PO, and they are putting another PO for $250,000, which is going to come this month. So that pays our bills. So there is a one. I mean, we get enough revenue right now. I think we actually might be very close to break even. So not even 4,000. Um, but most of our money is going in marketing activities. So that's where we are basically spending more money. Of course, I still maintain an engineering team. So there is a cost over there, but where I want to put this new money is to basically, supercharge our uh, marketing team, and because we don't do traditional sales, because we typically do partnership, and then sales are actually done by our partners. So it's more kind of finding these IT service providers and showing them the value that they can generate for their customers, is that's what is needed. But that I think all that effort still needs somebody to do cold calling, sending emails, doing webinars, things like that. So So that's the main focus right now, and that's where money goes.
Okay. Something intriguing you mentioned. So you don't do the implementation of the software. You have partners that do the software implementation.
Right. So no, so like the AI part is what we provide, right? So,
Right.
but there are so many different types of TMS softwares out there, and so many different type of ERP software.
Right.
Instead of us going and doing integration with every one of them, we chose a channel partnership kind of model where we leverage what we have and then let channel partner integrate that into the end customer. That also gives us a advantage in terms of able to use their sales team and their existing relationships uh, with that. One more thing I would like to mention is that what we have seen recently, a lot of TMS companies are approaching us directly. So, for example, Blue Global TMS, Descartes TMS, we have a meeting with them. They are adding us into their new program where they are kind of pre-releasing their APIs to us. And there are other TMS software companies. So, and I think what TMS software companies are looking for generally is a self-service model where, we might not even do the training or anything. They integrate our software um, with their software, and their customer are able to label their own. First of all, define their own documents. Right? It doesn't need to be invoice. It could be any document. So our system can be configured to different type of documents without reprogramming. And once they define the documents and then they can label those documents, we have built a specific labeling software for our own purpose. And once they train the software, they get the weights, and these weights are then uh, can be put into the inference software. The inference software is what I was showing you, but they want it in the self-service mode because some of these TMS companies have like a 7,000, 10,000 customers, right? We won't be able to kind of service each one of them. We are very close to making it self-service at this point. I think that's where I see a huge growth because it's a very scalable model for us. But at this point, I think we want to sign up with some large customers like FedEx, uh, and then we have GLS, FedEx, are kind of and IRS. These three are the, the super large customers. If we sign one of them, I think we will have enough revenue to kind of go to the next stage of funding, and then we kind of change our focus to direct integration with TMS. That will reduce you know time to implementation because it becomes a self-service tool at that point, self-service software.
So folks, I'm realizing we are coming up on the top of the hour. We can keep going, no issues. It's okay with us. But I just want to mention this, that there is enough interest here, Mandeep, from the way the questions are coming, that we probably will need to have follow-up among some of us, and then have a more deeper discussion on how we want to collaborate. You said there is 275 still left, and if there is some thing we can put together. So I just wanted to mention that, but I can let the questions continue to the extent the folks here, and you can accommodate the questions of time.
I am available.
Yeah, so if I may then, Ram, my question is more on the growth side of it, Mandeep, is that I believe one of your slides had TAM of, unless I'm recollecting wrong, 700 million or something in those lines. And again, going back to my perception based upon what you
folks, if somebody is not speaking, can you mute? Oh, go ahead, Sai. Go ahead, Sai.
So yeah, my question was more on the growth side of it. Seems like a very versatile in a product, right? That can be applied in a multitude of industries. I know you spoke about big customers, FedEx and IRS, etc., in the pipeline. I'm thinking healthcare is one humongous space for this kind of solution. So from a growth side of the things, why is it limited to that number? I mean, I was trying to figure out as to how you came up with that kind of an estimate. And it seems like the potential is basically very large.
Yeah, the growth that we are projecting is only based on the existing pipeline. So obviously, as we are moving next month, this pipeline is growing. So I agree with you, it's gonna grow. But we did not go. I think healthcare is a big opportunity, um, and the only reason we kind of avoided it as our first segment to focus on is because of the privacy laws around it. They are a little bit challenging sometimes to make deployment slightly challenging and also training challenging. Uh, so so I think that was one of the reasons to kind of not make healthcare as the first segment to focus on. But we definitely know there will be radiology labs which receive orders from doctors that they need to enter into their system. And I have talked to, Kurt has introduced me to one of his colleague who owns many radiology labs, and there was a strong interest. But these privacy issues are kind of cause a little bit of a concern, and but these are all can be addressable. It just going to take us more work from our side.
Okay, so you're a pure cloud solution. You don't have an on-prem solution then, yeah?
No. We are on-prem. We can deploy it in the cloud as well, but most of our customers like on-prem. The problem is not the on-prem thing. Problem is the training. So when we train, we need these example documents, right? Now that becomes an issue. Like, so we have to be, our facility has to be HIPAA compliant. There are a bunch of rules. So we just went with logistics because there we don't have that kind of problems.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, I think just to add to Sai's point, if you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to add to Sai's point, I think I understand the regulatory part, but I think the biggest advantage that you have is the offline version of it. So, and HIPAA compliance requires every data to be on premise for the medical industry. So I think you, so just to add to Sai's point, I think this is worth looking into for your industry when that sector is exploding.
Definitely. I think the way I would look at is to kind of look for a partner who is willing to kind of partner with us. That way, we don't need to relearn the whole industry. We kind of help that partner, with our technology know-how, build a solution. And they might also have right kind of salespeople and right kind of marketing to go and get the customers. That is approach that has succeeded for us in logistics. So that is something I would like to explore for healthcare as well.
And in your group has exposure to this skilled force, they call it in medical, skilled force, SNF, nurses, skilled net nurses. Basically, it's a big industry, and they have this bill pay. Billing is one of the biggest issues that they face, because there's a lot of government regulation that needs to be in place in order to maintain the data in a consistent way. So I think something to explore that particular field. There are a lot of nursing facilities which look forward to that.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's a good point. I will be doing some research on nursing facilities.
Entity, which just like IRS, right? So you have a government entity which reimburses all these uh, expenses, and there's an insurance industry behind it. So everything has to be in a compliant manner. Data entry consistency is required, and that's where I think an offline version will please.
Sorry, you were cutting off a little bit. Yeah, definitely. We offer offline version. In fact, most of our customers, I mean, not most, almost all of them are using offline. I mean, they might be deploying it in their clouds, but these are like
So,
private clouds.
on-prem by definition becomes somewhat offline, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we still have a metering system, so it's kind of a hybrid. Can't work without
Okay.
internet. Some server of our servers need to, at least the connection has to be there with our servers, because almost all of our plans are metering. So we just send, like, every time a page is processed, we send a, information out.
Without the data. Without the data.
Without data, yeah, we don't do data.
Okay. Okay, folks, those of you that have an interest, if you can just separately send me an email, we can form a little subgroup here and compile our questions, follow up with Mandeep, and see how we want to take it to the next level. So look forward to that kind of a consolidated feedback from us, Mandeep, sometime late next week or so. And we'll take it from there. I'll also talk to my Houston counterpart, as I mentioned, Ram Shenoy. I don't know if he's on the line still. Ram, are you there? Are you listening to all this? If you have some quick question and if you want to socialize it amongst your group.
Yeah, actually, I'd love to get a hold of the recording and socialize it with, other charter members in Houston and see if there's any interest.
Sure. Did you have any other questions yourself, Ram, that you want to?
Well, I do. What I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to actually review the recording, because I've been looking at a number of different AI companies, and I've been, so I'm a double E by background, right? So the funny thing is, as a graduate student in the 80s, I coded some of the neural networks. So I've sort of been listening to your history, and I have a slightly different view of the history. So I'd love to have a deeper conversation, but probably this is not the forum for it.
Sure.
Definitely, yeah. We can set up a separate
I feel the
time.
same way like you, Ram. I go back to my graduate school, and some of the things that we learned there, and some of it is still relevant, and backprop and all the kinds of neural networks there.
What I think happened is Moore's law made algorithms which were infeasible 30 years ago totally feasible now. But I don't actually think a lot of the algorithms have proved a lot. So
right, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, those are the deeper conversations, Ram, even I would like to be part of. I think there's much to deep dive here.
Yeah. I think from my side, I will certainly be interested to go much detail in the product demo, what you do. And in terms of your niche, I think I would like to understand the niche portion. I understand it's the line items that I collected from this demo, but I think I just wanted to understand what is the niche in the product comparison that you showed against the other competitors, how that niche shines in your product. So we'd like to see that in action as well.
So we have a white paper where we have compared ourselves against Amazon Text Extract, Google Document AI, and Microsoft Form AI. I can send that to Ram, and then maybe if you want to distribute, it has some technical information as well.
Okay.
We'll do that. We'll compile all that, and also the questions and comments. If you can send it to me, then we can compile it all, and we'll set up some time to have a follow up. And likewise, Ram, once we send the recording, you can take a poll on your audience there, and let's see how we want to format the next session with Mandeep.
Very good.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I think there will be two sets of follow-up. I think there's a definite interest in doing a deep dive on the product and use case solution itself, and then business-wise, investment business-wise, what the trajectory looks like, the space, and what opportunity there is for some kind of a deal that we can be looking at. here.
Okay, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Any other items, questions that we can deal with, we can take on now, or can we adjourn for now and then follow up later?
Ram, will be seeing this deck as well?
I think Mandeep, you sent a deck once before, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I have sent it.
Yeah.
I can send it again if,
Yeah.
along with some other relevant, white papers and some information, marketing.
That would be great.
stuff.
That'd
Yeah,
be great. And if you can send it me, then what we can do is we'll create we'll put it on a folder, and just send us what you are comfortable sharing publicly, and at least in this small forum here.
Mhm.
And then we have a shared group that we can distribute it through, and then
Okay.
we'll take it from there.
Okay. Send it tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
So I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and Sanjukta, you want to do the honors in terms of any final closing thoughts?
No,
Okay.
none for me. Thank you, Mandeep, for your time today.
Thank
If
you.
you guys have any questions or anything, yeah, just go ahead and reach out to us. And if you want to be a member, just go to dallas.tie.org, and there is a little icon on the top that says join now, and it'll just take you to where you need to be, like where you can register.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
point.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.